Someone call a plumber because there's Battlefield news leaking from all over the place. A recent blog post from DICE indicated that 13.2 million players are part of the open beta, which actually includes PC players, unlike the other juggernaut FPS games coming out this year, Gears of War 4, Titanfall 2, and Infinite Warfare, of which did not or won't have PC betas. And there's graphics about how the Assault and Scout classes were the most played given the current state of the balance in the game and the shitty map that we were forced to play on, with the medic actually coming in after the vehicle classes because of how terabad it was. More on that meta class later. Somehow the Tank Hunter Elite class was the most destructive, even though it was located way out in the middle of Bumblefuck on the E objective, which makes me question these statistics altogether until I see tons of horse kills, which seem about right for the power of Mr. Ed. They also indicated at the bottom of the blog post that the light tank was just a little too strong, which isn't all DICE learned from the Battlefield 1 beta. There was yet another blog post that dealt with the player feedback, which indicated that Rush would be getting a change, but it's so vague that it's almost like a politician wrote this paragraph. Additionally, for all those people that whined about kill whoring not being as useful in Conquest anymore, DICE will now have kills and objective time count towards the final score of the match. Fuck that shit. I'd rather have a player that's going 20 and 20 who's PTFOing alongside of me instead of some twat waffle in a tank going 50 and 1 who thinks that flags have fucking cooties. They also indicated that the support class will get something a bit earlier in terms of gadgets in order to deal with the vehicles. More on gadgets later, and the medic class is getting a nice overhaul. The revive icons will now appear by default on both the field of view and the minimap, so no more pressing a stupid button in order to make it show. The revive icon will be at the spot of death, so that if a body goes sliding down a hill, you don't have to chase after it in order to hit it off with a syringe. And there are new no revive scenarios, including elite classes, along with vehicle operators, and if you died within 10 seconds of your last revive. Don't fucking revive me, bro! And don't revive me if there's somebody staring at me either! Speaking of gadgets, all of the gadgets were data mined from the beta build into an organized list over on Reddit. Considering that Battlefield 4 had more redundant gadgets than a sex shop, the list of 5 per class seems to be enough variety to satisfy, yet each adding something a little bit different in order to give each class their own playstyle. For Assault, there's the anti-tank grenade, mines, dynamite, rocket gun, and a limpet mine, which can be attached to a surface and will detonate a few seconds later. The medic gets the grenade launcher with the frag, HE, and smoke variants, a bandage pouch, and medical crate for healing variants, and the aforementioned syringe, along with the wrench for helping out those vehicle whores. Support gets 3 types of tripwires, 3 types of mortar, HE, airburst, and smoke in order to take out those vehicles, an ammo pouch and crate for variants of resupply. For the Scout, there's a spotting scope and flare gun to help paint people on the minimap like Bob Ross, the K-bullets for taking out vehicles, a trench shield, which you could use for prone sniping, and a helmet decoy, which can be spotted by enemy players and will reveal their location on the minimap. Additionally, there's some random gadgets in here like a grappling hook and shell cases like in Hardline, and an observation balloon, which could be stuff that's left over from the previous iteration because we all know about that copy-paste life. The gadgets weren't the only list of things that we got about the upcoming title. If you saw my last Battlefield news video, we had 8 of the 10 maps being named, but now we have all 10 maps officially titled, well, the 9 that it will launch with and the one that's coming in a December update since, you know, DICE doesn't have enough time to make a game with half the content of a previous one. Most of the maps were the same as in the last video with the exception of Foul Fortress, which is one of those unknown maps, an official screenshot of Suez, you can see right here, Ballroom Blitz, which is a crappy song from the 70s, was labeled as Chateau and should be the meat grinder of the list, and Giant Shadow, which is the map that's coming in December in which fighting moves out of the trenches and into the open, which will be as much fun as the map in the beta was. Also, all of the game modes were revealed, which includes the normal standards like Conquest, Rush, and for those that don't like vehicles, Domination, and for those that don't like vehicles or having to actually move to play the game, Team Deathmatch. There are 2 new game modes, one of which being Operations, which is basically like Rush, but on multiple maps with games lasting beyond an hour of playtime. It's meant to simulate what World War I was really all about, which probably means battling over an area smaller than your balls for a painstaking eternity. The other new game mode is called War Pigeons, and unfortunately for all you New York Cityers, it's not the equivalent of walking through Central Park with an umbrella on a perfectly sunny day so that you don't get bird shit on your clothes. It seems to be an oddball in Halo or Team Defender in Modern Warfare 3 type variant to replace Obliteration, which was my favorite game mode, by the way, as an aside, where you fight over control of a pigeon coop in order to bring it to a safe location and then have one of them sky rats fly off to call in an artillery strike on the enemy team. The last last list I'd like to go over is the official specs for the PC version of Battlefield 1. Tons of people on Reddit are laughing at how their rigs are under the recommended and sometimes even under the minimum specs for certain items, yet they ran at a stable 60 to 90 FPS on high graphic settings without an issue. Maybe DICE is being very careful as to say what hardware can run their game, but 16 gigabytes of RAM seems like an awful lot for a recommended spec. Maybe they just haven't solved the memory leak issue yet that plagued the beta and want to be extremely careful. I mean, hell, my PC doesn't even meet the recommended specs in terms of the graphics card, and yet I ran the beta with about 120 FPS at high settings. Considering how cozy Battlefield is with AMD, it's easy to see on which side of the fence they landed in terms of doing more with less. Lastly, there was another blog post regarding the melee combat of Battlefield 1. They could have just written one word on the subject matter: shit. But they had a word count quota to fill. Obviously, the bayonet charge is detailed as risky because you're screaming like as if you've seen a ghost and have the turn radius of an 18-wheeler, but you sprint faster and you even get a damage reduction because adrenaline rules. There's no chance of countering this melee, meaning random one-hit from front melees will happen often, considering that not every map is open as a hooker's vagina like the beta map was, and you can't see people lunging at you from miles away. It seems that even though equipping the bayonet might seem like a bad idea because of increased recoil, increased ADS time, and a longer recovery period with leaving better attachment options out, I still think it's AIDS no matter how you slice it because there's too many rewards, not enough risks. There's also 3 different classes of melee weapons: knives, clubs, and specials. The knives deal low damage but swing the fastest and have a large takedown zone, with the clubs being stuck in the middle like Malcolm, and specials like the hatchet, shovels, and pickaxes having high damage but slow swinging and small takedown zones. Basically, they're adding another category into the system from hardline between the 1- and 2-handed melee weapons. Anyways, that's going to do it for the Battlefield 411. I'm actually kind of intrigued to play these new game modes and see how they fucked Conquest up yet again. However, I am glad they are continuing giving out free maps as DLC, even though it was supposed to have shipped with the game, but that's what pre-order culture gets you. I've been DawSchwanz27, out like a gay dude at a Lady Gaga concert. Until next time.